welcome back to issue number 2, Surprise Return of Akira Kizzau, an Aspects of Mourn novel. Just before Salia was about to enter the sewers to find out what was taking her sisters, the manhole cover flew into the air. As she watched, one dark gray rabbit popped out and into her arms. A few moments later, inky black clouds burst out and into the sky. As she watched, they vanished into the night. A moment later, another rabbit popped out of the sewers to stare up at Salia. "Seeing that Soot is in my arms, you must be Frith," Salia said. "Hi, sis," Kizzau said as she pulled herself out of the sewers. "I see the police are questioning the HLS. We had our own adventure down below." Kizzau bent down to give Ariane a hand out of the sewers. "I am curious why the lurkers pursued one totem," Ariane said, "but fled from Frith." Walking over to the manhole cover, Ariane rolled it back to the hole and let it fall in place. She then joined Kizzau, who was kneeling down to observe Frith. "This little guy is usually with Sunrise Jubilee," Kizzau said. "Is there something happening on her aspect we should look into?" "I already checked," Salia said. "Jubes hasn't seen Frith in over a month." "Sort of the same situation we had with Gertrude. The Withers have a theory that the totems have their own world somewhere outside the aspects." "If they are hiding there," Kizzau said, "or most of them," she said, looking over at Soot in Salia's arms, "there is a big puzzle here, and if it didn't involve our favorite llama totem, I might offer it up to some other heroic." Frith's eyes began glowing really bright as Gertrude walked over to look down at him and bleat. The black rabbit hopped about, racing between Gertie and Salia. Soot began squirming in Salia's arms. All right. Gently, she placed the other rabbit on the ground. Frith nuzzled Soot. Without warning, the two faded from sight. "Where did they go?" a police officer asked, walking over to them. "The Pantheon put out a special request to bring in any and all totems. They wish to protect them until the nature of the threat could be determined." "That was a first," Kizzau said, still in shock over witnessing the two rabbits vanish. She turned to the officer. "We still have Gertrude. Maybe the Pantheon can try to figure out why she doesn't talk." "Kizzy," Ariane said. "Did Gertie vanish too?" Kizzau asked, smiling. She turned and could not believe what she saw. Gertrude was walking up the street toward an unending crowd of llama. "That is something I never thought I would see when looking for her. Where in the world did they all come from?" On the roof of the candy shop, something crouched in the shadows, watching events unfold below. "They're all distracted," the being in the shadow said. "Two totems fled to the hidden aspect. One has gathered more of her kind." "What of the humans and the lurkers?" asked a voice in its ear. "Which were able to deter the heroics. Our plan will come crumbling apart if we fail to procure a tool. Fools are the last thing we need at our beck and call." "The lurkers held their own against the blight elf and the wood elf," the being responded. "The arrival of Frith made them flee. It is as we suspected. There are some aspects that use their innate magic sparingly. Frith can utilize living shadows to teleport and invoke fear in others." "Then the lurkers will be useful against other targets. What of the vaunted humanity's last stand?" "Fools," the being hissed, stepping out into the light to look down at the humans being arrested. What stood revealed would send chills through most that beheld it. The Whippletinger cracked its crooked fingers before using them to brush back his long-tapered ears. Long-tapered horns kept the ears perked at a sharp angle. Flexing his white furred wings, he stepped back into the shadows. "I'm glad we used others to reach out to the last stand. The llama totem handled them easily enough. Return to the warren, a voice in his ear said. Other plans have been set in motion. Let us see how this trio of heroics fares against one of our other tools. Nodding, the creature leaped for the tall building next to the candy store. In moments it was in the air, but on the roof of the taller building, another figure continued to watch. And that's the end of issue 2 of Akira Kizzau. I'll see you all in the near future, and thank you for listening.